Right, this video is going to contain spoilers, like for literally everything to do with this game. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you should just click away now. Tears of the Kingdom has been out for over a month now, and it is still unknown as to how exactly the game fits in with the rest of the series. Mostly the issues come from the nature of the Zelda memories. Now I have made a video on this already, where I theorise that they are set after Skyward Sword and before the Minish Cap. Despite that, it doesn't mean I don't have alternative theories about this topic. The one we'll be covering today is about whether these memories are set after every game in the timeline, and I will be tackling the topic of the nature of the Calamity Ganon and the hero's aspect, as I believe they can help decipher when exactly it's all set. Right, let me just get the big point out of the way first. In this theory, I'm going to suggest that Calamity Ganon is the old Ganondorf we see in the old games. So like from Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, etc. And I'm going to say that he's not actually the Ganondorf we see in Tears of the Kingdom. Now, just hear me out. I promise you I have not completely lost it, and I'm going to be trying to prove exactly why I think this. Firstly, let's just cover what we learn about the Calamity Ganon in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. The Calamity Ganon is the reincarnated form of Ganondorf. It is a primal evil that has endured through the ages. Calamity Ganon is made of and expels a substance known as malice, which is literally just physical hatred. We can assume that it has this power because of the amount of times it has been reborn over and over again just to be defeated every single time. Like having that happen to you all the time would just make you really hateful. Let's cover some more things we learn about the Calamity Ganon, this time from the Creator Champion book. Now I know the canonicity of books like Creator Champion and Hyrule Historia are questioned, however I feel like with the Creator Champion book, I feel like it's slightly more canon than something like Hyrule Historia, so I'm going to be using that as just a little piece of evidence. However, you can just take this bit with a pinch of salt. So, in the Creator Champion book, we learn that Ganondorf, King of the Gerudo, transforms into Dark Beast Ganon and threatens Hyrule. The Princess of Hyrule and the chosen hero combine their power to seal Ganon. Now this event occurs in a time known as the Era of Myth, which is basically when all the old Zelda games were meant to have happened. The backstory for Ganondorf detailed here does not match at all with the backstory of Ganondorf we see in Tears of the Kingdom. However, it does for the Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time. Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom, in the memories, is not defeated by the chosen hero and the princess. Instead, he is sealed away by one individual person, and that is Rauru. Ganondorf also doesn't become Dark Beast Ganon before he's sealed away. Instead, he is just the Demon King. Now, in Ocarina of Time, Ganondorf is sealed away by both the Princess of Hyrule and the chosen hero Link. And it happens right after Ganondorf becomes Dark Beast Ganon. Now, the next thing we learn in both Creator Champion and in Breath of the Wild is that Ganon keeps returning to the world repeatedly. Ganondorf eventually becomes a mindless thing, completely consumed with malice. It is implied that several calamities have occurred over the ages, possibly for tens of thousands of years. Now this piece of information is quite interesting and important to this theory. In Breath of the Wild, we learn about the previous calamity, the one that took place 10,000 years ago. We learn about the 4 champions, the hero, the princess, and also the ancient Sheikah technology. If we travel to the location of the tapestry which depicts this event and speak with Impa, we can learn several things, which could be some evidence for this theory. Firstly, when you ask Impa about the calamity, she states that the calamity was the Demon King of ancient times, brought back to existence in the form of hatred manifest. Now the way she describes the calamity here is very interesting. Firstly, she refers to the calamity as the Demon King of ancient times. Now this could easily be applied to the Ganondorf that we see in Tears of the Kingdom. However, I don't think it's that simple. Firstly, this is the only time that Ganondorf is described as an ancient Demon King. In fact, in the context of the game, why would you even refer to him as ancient? He has literally been reborn and is taking over the world in the present moment. You would just call him the Demon King, like everyone else does, because he is a modern topic. Even Zelda at the start of the game calls him the Demon King before he awakens. But there is a Ganondorf whom, at this point, if we assume that he's been around for even before the second founding of Hyrule, could be described as the Ancient Demon King, the original Ganondorf we see in Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, etc. But is there anything else we can get out of this small statement spoken by Impa? Well, there is. It's the fact that Impa says he was brought back to existence in the form of Hatred Manifest. Ganondorf in the Tears of the Kingdom memories never actually died, he was only sealed away, which means he is not a thing to bring back into existence. He is sealed beneath Hyrule Castle, practically frozen in time. But Ganondorf from the older games could be brought back into existence. We know it is very likely that Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild takes place at the end of all three timelines, and in all three timelines, Ganon is dead by the end of the last game. In the Downfall timeline, he died in Zelda 1, in the Child timeline, he died in Twilight Princess, and in the Adult timeline, he died in the Wind Waker. Since he died in all three of these timelines, it would mean that it is possible to bring him back into existence. However, that is just one sentence from Impa. Is there anything else I can bring up for this theory? Well, there is. In Tears of the Kingdom, after completing every shrine, you are rewarded with the Hero's Aspect. Now the Hero's Aspect is meant to depict some ancient hero, probably also called Link, they all are. Now, the Hero's Aspect is likely a Zonai, correct? Well, I think it is. We learn a piece of information that just makes this thing a little bit more confusing than it needs to be as to whether the Hero's Aspect is a Zonai or not. While wearing the Hero's Aspect, if you speak to Impa, she says that it looks like the hero depicted on the tapestry from 10,000 years ago. Now you may ask, what's the issue with this? Well, we see on the tapestry that Hyrule Castle is depicted on it, and in Tears of the Kingdom we learn that Hyrule Castle was built over the place where Rauru sealed Ganondorf in order to protect the seal. Why is this a problem? Well, you see, the Zonai are actually meant to be extinct at this point, dying out with Rauru and Minoru. So how on earth can the Hero's Aspect be a Zonai when they have seemingly gone extinct? Well, to be honest, I have absolutely no clue. It appears that a Zonai existed during this time when they aren't even meant to. But what if the Hero's Aspect isn't fully a Zonai? What if he might be half Hylian, half Zonai, or a quarter Zonai, or anything like that? That could possibly explain why he appears to be shorter than the Zonai we see, like Rauru and Minoru, and why some of the Hero's Aspect's features closely resembles that of a Hylian. It would also explain why there seemingly is a Zonai that existed during the time of the Calamity. But is there any evidence of a half Hylian, half Zonai person in the game? Well, although we don't see any, there is actually one to be implied to exist, because we learn that Princess Zelda is descended from the Zonai Rauru and the Hylian Sonia. Even though we do not see their child, we know that they had to have one because Zelda exists. So what I'm suggesting is, what if the ancient hero is a close descendant of Rauru? Now I say close descendant because he still shares many features of a Zonai, maybe a grandson, as in the tapestry we see a king, but wouldn't that imply that the Hero's Aspect is a member of royalty, which is something we've never seen a Link be before? Well, we know that the chosen hero can be absolutely anyone. They're just normal people, chosen, likely at birth, to be the hero. So why can't the Hero's Aspect be royalty? More specifically, a grandchild or something like that of Rauru. Furthermore, by having the Tears of the Kingdom's memories be placed a few years before the Calamity 10,000 years ago, it could explain the Sheikah technology. With the Zonai going extinct, perhaps the Sheikah could have been inspired by their inventions, mimicking their technology while preparing for the Calamity. In Breath of the Wild, one type of Sheikah technology we see are the Divine Beasts. Each divine beasts have their own special helmets that are associated with them. Helmets that closely resemble the helmets that the ancient sages wear. The only difference being that the divine beast ones are sheikified. Yeah, that's a word. I think it's an interesting choice to make the ancient sages wear these helms. I believe it is hinting at the fact that they are most likely the ancient champions that we see depicted in the ancient tapestry. Okay, but how does all of this relate to the theory that the Ocarina of Time Ganondorf is the same being as the Calamity Ganon? Well, now that we've basically determined the time period for these memories to take place in, a few decades before the Calamity 10,000 years ago, it could arguably prove that Calamity Ganon and the OG Ganon are the same, and that the Calamity is not the Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf. This is because the Calamity of 10,000 years ago was not the first, rather one of many. If Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf was the reason that Calamity exists, and that they're the same being, it would imply that during the few decades between the Imprisoning War and the Calamity 10,000 years ago, there were a bunch of other calamities in between, which in my opinion doesn't really add up. But if we say that Ocarina of Time Ganondorf is the Calamity, then it would make sense, because he would have been showing up thousands of years before the Calamity of 10,000 years ago, and the Zelda memories. But what about Ganondorf's character profile description in Tears of the Kingdom, which says that the Calamity was the thing that weakened his seal, which allowed him to eventually awaken? Wouldn't this imply that both Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf and Calamity Ganon are one and the same? Not really, because it does not actually say that he was the one that caused the Calamity, only that the event weakened his seal. Throughout the entire game, for some reason, Ganondorf and the Calamity are treated separately. Never once, to my knowledge, are they referred to as the same thing. This separation also extends to things like the fact that Malice has just disappeared from the game and was replaced by Gloom, which literally is just Malice, except it permanently takes hearts when Link is away from light. Well, this could have been done to show that they're not actually the same being, that Gloom comes from the new Ganondorf, and that Malice is a thing that comes from the old Ganondorf. So basically that's about it for this side of the theory, the one to do with the Calamity Ganon and Ganondorf. There are a few things I could have mentioned, but I think you get the point. The existence of Calamity Ganon, who is likely Ganondorf from the older games, proves that the Tears of the Kingdom memories are likely set after the entire timeline, possibly at some point after they all converge. Now, I've got a few more things to prove this that aren't necessarily related to Ganondorf, so let's just quickly go through them. So, Tears of the Kingdom has seemingly made DLC and amiibo items canon, because you can find those items in the depths or in side quests. But some of these items can only be found in Zonai ruins, such as all the previous Link's tunics, and more importantly, the old Phantom Ganon armour, which can be obtained by completing the 4 labyrinths found across Hyrule. Since these items are found down here, and that the Zonai went extinct with the death of Rauru and Minoru, the items found in the Zonai structures in the depth have to predate the Imprisoning War, which means they were possibly placed down in these sacred places to honour the past heroes, and possibly protect them from being stolen. But anyway, that's it for today's theory. I know a lot of this could have holes in it, but I reckon it could be possible that Tears of the Kingdom's memory are set at the end of all the old Zelda games, and that Calamity Ganon could still be the old Ganondorf we remember from the old games. But this is just one possibility. If you'd like to see another theory about this topic, one that covers the possibility that Tears of the Kingdom takes place before the Minish Cap and after Skyward Sword, you can click on the link down below. But anyway, that's all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.